Tí smuoinmh agus fáilte romhaibh go dtíon bad chréile seo is déanaí de chud GAA Gold na mé míad na fechan ar chuirsaí pelle agus amána an bhliain 1986. Tá áthas ar an fáilte a chur ribh chaptain chorcaí a bhuaigh créibh amána na hhéireann an bbliain sin. Tá Tom Cashman ling. Hello Tom, how are you?
Mihal, good, thank you. Yourself? Yeah.
Very good, looking forward to the chat. Mikey Sheehy bhí sé mar bhail anna háachtaachta ar an chiarís na seachtaí agus a rís na hochtaí, bhuaigh sé bán ile éireann an bbliain áirithe seo freisin agus tá sé ling inniu. Hello Mikey, how are you?
Very good, Mihal, thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks and welcome along. Agus freisin tá an scríóir agus an tiriseoir leis an Irish Examiner, Michael Moynihan ling. Díochait Michael, consoladí agad?
Mihal, agus ufrain.
And the Vahar Fad Gurmila Magat. Tom, let's start with you and maybe just set the scene for before 86 or coming into 86. You'd won the Centenary All-Ireland in 84, lost the All-Ireland semi-final in 85. You were coming off the back of the great team of the late 70s that had won 3 in a row in Cork. So what were the expectations like heading into 86?
I mean, every year you expect to win in Ireland. That was the attitude going into Cork. So, we were very disappointed after 85. We didn't do justice that year, I don't think. But the team had won 5 Munster championships. And, Johnny Clifford was at the helm and a great motivator. So he brought along, I think Noel Collins came on. So the team got very, very fit from day one. And, we just want to make amends for the year before, and to a number of our players, notably kind of Jimmy Barry and Johnny Crowley would have been there. Were a great inspiration to the younger fellas coming on. A couple of new players came into the scene. So we were looking forward to the year with expectation, again, as I say, of winning an All-Ireland.
Mikey, for yourselves, this was the end of an era, although I'm sure not many knew it at the time. But what was it like? Did people think that maybe Father Time was calling and that maybe the players were in this for one last big hurrah?
Yeah, I suppose, Father Time is, it catches up on everybody. And I'd say the nucleus of the team were very experienced and they were on the road, I'd say from probably 75, I think it was our 11th year probably with Miko, So most players would be conscious of that, particularly when you're getting a bit older, you're picking up the odd injury here and there. But I think the preparations went quite well. But you do have something in the back of your mind. You're kind of saying, maybe this is my last one, So I think you might go the extra half yard or the extra 10%, So, but as I say, Miko would always prepare us diligently. And I suppose that was the beauty about Miko Dwyer. I think it was our 11th or 12th year under him. And it never got tired, he was still, he's still motivated, he still got you right for the day. And as I said, we prepared very well for the game.
All right, well, fechan mi the reintas na cluhísin Saravadach. Michael Ganaurus, Lauren Taurig a bhíán, bhí gachtain na díru ar na cluhí pelle agus amána, ach bhí cuasaí eile atá luin engineering agus mór haimpel na crunne. Just thuird sampla the cad a bhí a dollar teva mod an sport.
Well, we can do fishing, Mihal, darno for filling it, what in we boss, civilian Kenya, written Taurig, we and Condon there, Shula, Mexico, August for Maradona and cool, well, and go cool, call Luligvin and Sassner.
Love day.
Shine, ik feken sheer stoke, hard on place go fast with Chernobyl, August few Roman Gulair in New York. He don't them grevis green cake or down Cherok of Zavisha, we shrak to the fish, we. Le déine ach sin is dó an ord cinúna go fan an num seachas an sport an ord a hála Chernobyl.
Okay, at a bhíán is stocha cosúla sin at atá ollingta going imlíana. Okay, well, bogam í do raig mar sin leis an géad cluthe agus seo cluthe canis pelle na móin. Corcaigh agus Kiri a casa ar i chéile, cred nú ná cred, I cluthe canis na móin don éanú bliain is fethe as i chéile.
Sean Welsh, Jimmy Kerrigan has done all the hard work. Can he finish? Matty McCarthy. Somehow it spills out. 3 defenders, and it took the goalkeeper to stop in the end. Diagonal pass. Owen Liston looking for the opening score. Inches wide. And here's Ger Power, the oldest man on the field, but a lot of people around here would have you believe perhaps one of the fittest. Timmy Dowd again. And he finishes nicely. When it seemed that the movement was breaking down and taking a bit too very happy that John Kennedy kicked 4 good points in the first half. Gleeson could feel very happy now because Mikey Sheehy has kicked his own third. Kerry's 11. Mikey Sheehy with a tricky angle and a very good kick. He's a delightful performer. And the Kerry supporters love that kind of football. And there it is. And as anticipated, the ageing champions, Kerry, have won the Munster final.
Mikey, I mentioned there that that was the 21st consecutive year that Cork and Kerry had played in the Munster final. Ye winning 15 of them, Cork winning 6. You must have been sick of the sight of each other by this stage, were you? The two teams every single year facing off in the final.
Yeah, I don't think you'll ever get sick of playing Cork, or I'm sure Cork will never get sick of playing Kerry, you know, because in Killarney, I think in particular the Cork lads would even admit to that. I think there was a special atmosphere, you know, in those days. You had 40,000 in Killarney, you know, and before the game and after the game, you know, the atmosphere around the place was amazing, you know. And going back to that game itself, I can't remember what the final score was, but it was tight.
Yeah, 12 points to 8 it was, yeah, tight.
12-8, it was very tight, right I'd say to the last 5 minutes. But I remember it was very damp, and it got very damp in the second half, and we got a couple of scores, we got a couple of breaks, and you know, a lot of people said that Mick O'Dwyer, you know, Mick was always going on about Cork being the second best team, but Cork always, and I think that's how we probably won what we won, in that Cork gave us fierce hard games. And I'd say Cork would have loved the backdoor system in those days, because they certainly would have had probably a few more Sands on board. They were always very good, always very competitive and outstanding footballers.
And did they set you up then for that long break to the All-Ireland semi-final every year? Was it because you got such a challenge from Cork in most of those finals in Munster that you were prepared for the big gap before you had to take on the All-Ireland semi-final?
You were, but you know, we're talking about games behind closed doors. During that gap, Mick, in fairness, you know, he'd have all the pre-season work done in April and May, and we played mostly to football. The odd hard session thrown in here and there, and some of those AVB games were frightening. Like they were like championship, because there was guys on the B team chomping at the bit, you know. And it's some people, and I would often have argued with people that, you know, a lot of young people now would say to me, "He had it very handy. He had only 4 games to win an All-Ireland." But I would argue that it was very difficult for Mick and the management to keep guys going. Maybe there might be a break of 5 weeks between games, you know, to keep guys going. But I mean, he had that talent to bring the best out of us and get us right on the day, you know. So, but certainly going back to the competitiveness of Cork, it certainly helped us, you know, and particularly in '86 when we came up against a very good Cummingmead team at the time.
Okay, agus Michael, Madala Kirkig though, V Kirkig ag tacht nach raibh le Canicamar ag deire na hochtodí, is she'd Kirkig a V níomháin amara réime ag goig amóan, ach ag raibh na hair an freshen.
Agus fiú was féidir le sort tóchaí Corcaigh eáil sicrthe sin le héad an Oil Cahalán agus Tony Davis with Colm O'Neill, Dini bhí an óg. Ach dar nó bhí na ceaptain an áhain nó tá Bert Dini in asnamh in ochtó sé, Larry Tompkins agus sé feithí agus nó bhí an Bert sin canúnach. Ach tá sé sa múl le cluichí sin eáil a rís, mar is féidir le eáil cadtá ag teach bhfuil Corcaigh cóngrach ach fós dar nó tá an míonach i ggéirí agus an tá taithí ón agus tá an taithí an tráchta.
Tom, one of the things we saw in that match was that Dennis Welsh came in to mark Bomber Liston and did a really good job on them. He was mainly known, I suppose, for his hurling coming on the Cork scene at that stage. He became a dual player all the way up to that victory in 1990 when Cork won the football and the hurling. He didn't play the football final, I think it was, and he did start the hurling. Teddy McCarthy, more commonly known, of course, as the man who started and played in both. Was that a difficulty for ye, balancing between when the footballers would train with the footballers and when they train with the hurlers?
No, it wasn't a factor back then, Michal. Dennis was a tough individual, great guy to train, very committed. Teddy Mack, what you say, Teddy was Teddy. You know, he was a fantastic performer. I thought he was underrated as a hurler. I thought he was a way better hurler than a footballer. But they trained with the footballers. There was no issue, no problem whatsoever. They came back fit. We sent them off fit as well. But the belief back then was that the footballers trained way harder than the hurlers. But hurling was a skillful game at the time, and Teddy and Dennis when they used to come back, kind of. So, I'm not after being beaten by Kerry or whatever, but mostly they came back refreshed to the team, and now sure we were only too delighted to have them on board.
And I mean, there was a real badge of honour for Cork to be the dual county at the time. Of course, things have changed completely now. Is that a regret, do you think? Is it just one of these things that belongs to history now? The idea of somebody lining out as a footballer and a hurler for the county?
Yeah, it's way more difficult now. Of course, back then it was knockout. One match, you could be out in June, you could be out in March, April. But as I say, nowadays with the backdoor players, it's very hard now for a guy to play, to be a dual player. But you know, if you have the skill, and most players, if you're skillful in one sport, you could be skillful in a host of different sports. But you know, we were lucky down through the years with the dual players that we had, and we were able to accommodate them on the hurling team and the football team. 1990 was a special year, obviously, as I said, Teddy got the name of playing on both, but Dennis was unlucky. He was a sub and probably could have played in the final in 1990 as well. So equally, there were fantastic players to the hurlers when they came back.
All right, very good. Okay, well, bugga me the rag mar sin godi ar géad cluthe amana an so tránó na nniuh agus filimid chialarna at galore agus ní minic mín cluthe canis amana na múna immert an son. Ach sin díreach an rud a hála in 1986 ar a chas Corcaig agus an chlár ar a chéile an chlár a géirí craobh na múna bhuachan an géadúir le blianta fada. Corcaig a géirí an cúigiú ceann as a chéile bhaint.
To James Shanahan, low ball, Tommy Guilfoyle. Tommy Guilfoyle gives his team a very encouraging lead right into half-time. Towards Jimmy Barry racing inside. A goal by John Fitzgibbon. And he's lost it to Cork's Kevin Hennessy. Hand passed it on to Jimmy Barry, who drilled. Oh, that's a piece of magic. Jerry McInerney's there too. Dennis Mulcahy, and this is Tommy Guilfoyle. Will he get another goal? But Sherlock Nunn, who's back in the action, stems the flow of the play. And it's John Fenton who picks up the loose ball. And now there are 3 points between the teams. The end of a memorable Munster final.
Mikey, did you ever have that experience below in Kerry, that playing an All-Ireland semi-final and basically just scratching a victory, not playing particularly well, it was a good way to set you up for the final?
Always, Michal, you know, even though a lot of the games that we did play in semi-finals, some of them tended to be lopsided, you know. But certainly, you always wanted a tough battle in the semi-final. That's actually what happened in '86 against Meath. That game could go either way, even though we won kind of, I think, comfortable enough in the finish. But certainly the scoreline flattered us big time, and I think it set us up nicely for the final against Tyrone.
All right, but begging cluthe sinna going again cúpla nómad a ribh sin an céad cluthe leithcheannis I gréibh na pelle agus an bhliain seo tíróin a bhí irí cáilú den cluthe cheannis den géad uair riamh as Chaillimh.
Tyrone supporters having come here in their thousands, as you can see, and it's very much like a home from home for them. Thousands upon thousands of them here. Panel of 40 for the Australian tour will be announced. Later on, of course, that will be whittled down to 28. Brian O'Donnell, a chance for Galway. Oh, what a chance and what a goal! Damien O'Hagan, Plunkett Donaghy calling, wanting, kicking, and scoring. They're level. The Tyrone supporters are delighted with Brian Talty in the attack. Rounding 3 men, laying it off to Gay McManus. A point. The game and the tempo of the game is picking up. So here it is, the most important match in this semi-final. It's a goal! Tyrone have taken the lead. Thanks to Kevin McCabe. Holds possession when he might have even gone and tried to get a penalty, but he's not that kind of player. Still Stephen Joyce. Picking out Tomas Tierney. There's the shot! Great save by Skelton, but it goes over for a point. And Tyrone have won It's the charge of the army in the red and the white, acclaiming a victory by a goal and 12 to a goal and 9. They've reached their first ever All-Ireland final. And
Tyrone, Mikey, qualifying for their first All-Ireland final in '86. Just in the overall context of the year, was that considered a major shock?
It wasn't really, because I think they had, some very good minor and under 21 teams, and Art McCrory, I think, was in charge of the senior team and had been around for a while. And Art, he's an experienced campaigner, and we know that they prepared very well, So it was no major surprise because they actually beat a very good Galway team in the semi-final, who I think we'd beaten maybe 2 or 3 years previous, and they would have been very experienced. So we knew it was going to be a tough game against Tyrone in the final.
Yeah, Michael thought she'd feice going Tyrone and made it identical of other and Chéad Chréibh sin Gabhíle sa trí. But hartar an am sin an raibh an féin vishnach an dólat ag fórna ó chuigála nuair a bhíidir a tacht chun fórna eile a immert fórna ar nós Gaillimh ar nós Ciarí beidir sa Chluiche Canis ar chredidir an áíre ionta hain gomúthadís na cluichí móra sin an dólat.
Ní dóilm is tócha cafa chunar go raibh na triblódaí ar siú cóma, so bhíidir faoi bhrú áirithe cóma ach nátá ráit ag Mike í hena faoi corcaigh damrád ag raibh an cúldáras ar siú chun cosúla Tyrone taréis craobh strisint an bliain ina níos sin bheidir a bhfad níos fearr ach ní raibh an seansón agus sin sa múl domsa nach raibh sé de commas ar fórna sort tógáil ar an taithí a bhí crotha sa bliain agus is tócha tháinig sé sin ag gcuine Tyrone in áir an hóra.
Agus na hála sé, bhí sé gcónaí, bhí sé sin na tarlú i gcuige ola. A luatha is a bhí tú mar chora ola nó beidir chora ile éireann mar a hála aber le dúning ála in nócha dó. Láthirach bhí tú sa réadar ag gach fuair an eile agus beidir nach raibh an dúshlán céanna aber ag fórna ar nós Ciarí.
Lo agus tá ceartta gut ag fécinn siar na blianta i gcónaí is é an cúige is measa ó héamh na chorathe mar tá sé códachar san agus tá an comórtas cófiad for san agus hála sé de Tyrone ní raibh an seans riamh in áiríar ag an firm san teachtar eis go Páirc an Crócaigh go Cluiche Chréir nó Leachraibh agus na ceachtainna thaispáin ach chuirgás an bhí nóair bhí an lámh nuachtar có níos déanaí bhíidir ag teachtar eis agus bhí na ceachtainna san ach chuir a bhaime có ag cluichí.
And Mikey, can I just ask your opinion? Okay, it's a little bit after your time, but ultimately then when those northern teams made the breakthrough down in 91, Donegal 92, Derry 93, down again, what do you think transformed? What was the catalyst for them getting over whatever they had to get over? Like, Tyrone weren't really that, I think they lacked the self-belief possibly in the final against yourselves in the last quarter. So what do you think flipped the switch for them to be able to turn those defeats into victories?
I just think that Ulster as a province got very competitive in that particular time. And they had, I presume there was a lot of work done in the background at underage level in all counties, and I just think that the standard improved dramatically, and just being very competitive. But going back to what you mentioned there about Tyrone, if ever there was an experience to come to the fore that day in '86, that's a wonderful game for us. We were hanging on to their coattails, and I have no doubt had Kevin McCabe stuck the penalty, I'd say we'd have been in serious trouble. I think that would have put them up 9 points. And he scored one the semi-final, but he was actually, Pat Spillane was actually having his best game of the year that year because his form had been kind of a bit iffy, which was not like him, but Spillane was flying that day and McCabe had an awful job on him. And I'd say he was probably the wrong man to take the penalty from a Tyrone point of view because he was getting into trouble,
All right, well, that's a little bit further down the line, and we'll have a look at that penalty and indeed at the final, of course, a little bit later on. Ach le Tyrone cáilethe don Cluiche Canis, agus am cinnte go raibh an féasta ag tosnú thuas an Hanahain, agus bhí suas le 3,000 duine de réir cosúlachta a bailúch an aige hurt ar Páirc na Crócaigh don Lámór. Cé a bheith lo in san Cluiche Canis sin. Chas Ciarí agus count in na mí ar the chéile dóid sa Cluiche Canis.
David Beggy trying to pick out and indeed succeeding in finding Colm O'Rourke. The sides are level. What a great start this is to the match. Stafford wandering back into his own defence. And Kerry take advantage. Ogie Moran laying it in towards Ger Power. Just needs a touch. It's still there for the taking. Yes, he couldn't miss. Ger Power thought about a pass outside to Tommy Doyle. Here's Mikey Sheehy back to Ger Power. Can the Old Firm engineer a score? Tommy Doyle, he's put them level. To elude his marker. Pat Spillane nudging it on towards Jack O'Shea. Beautifully done for Willie Moore. There's a goal on here. Yes! Brilliant score! Brilliant Kerry score! And so, in the end, it's easy for Kerry. Winning by 12 points for Meath, 2-13 for Kerry, 7 points of a difference. So Kerry present their usual All-Ireland final appearance on the big day, September the 21st.
So Mikey, a 7-point victory ultimately. Meath came back the following year and won the All-Ireland. Was there a sense of Meath coming as the team for the time?
Certainly there were, Meath very strong. Like Meath, it's some fantastic footballers. If I was to pick a line in their team, I'd be comparing full forward lines like ours. You had Bernard Flynn, you had Colm O'Rourke, number 13, Brian Stafford, 14, and Bernard Flynn, 15. Brilliant players. You had Mick Lyons, you had Liam Harnan, you had Robbie O'Malley, all the household names. Jerry McEntee in the middle of the field with Liam Hayes, Martin O'Connell. They were just full of guys that left a major impact in years after. But they were, Meath, I think there was one of the clips in the game there. We turned over one of the Meath balls. I don't know which one of our players did it. And it was a punt in, and the three boys collided, Mickey McQuillan and Robbie O'Malley, and I can't remember who the third guy was. And Ger Power was just there. And that had a huge bearing on the game. It settled us down. And, because Meath had started very well, come out of the blocks very, very strong. And again, of course, they had an outstanding manager in Sean Boylan, who was meticulous in his preparation, so you could see that, that Meath were going to win All Irelands after that day.
Yeah, bhí deire is tóca go fóilach Michael le ré Flaclia I go go lion bhí chun na Meath treis an láb an uachtar all ar siúd. Cadén sort ober, bheith Sean Boylan an size catalyst a bhí ann don bhí chun iad ahrú ó furan a bhí beagnach ann go dtí furan a chred an ta hain go rad chun gachrad a bhóchant, craibh lein nó craibh na haireann.
Bhór farty Sean Boylan ach cafa cumad an agna coma go raibh roiin gwas Shanadori on Colm O'Rourke, Joe Castles, Mick Lyons, agus bhí sort cór a daoine bhí anna taithíocha agus bhí si bhíidir ag teacht chun an deire so is tócha bhí deafar ortha rudí a bhócant agus is tócha a ríis bhí ceachtainna ón ach go háirithe an cúla dag siad isteach bhí Ger Power an Kielver ag teacht go dtí an líróid son fan amach gas an slí ach is tócha haspáin cúlsa ach go háirithe de bhí cad a bhí ag testáil bhí ort na seansanna thógáil agus nóair a crothigh cíorí an seans tríd an turnover bóg siad iad. Agus is tócha sin an canál de ceacht ag caitheann foran a fólam chun rudí a bhócant.
Agus ar álam siad, ar bheith sin le go raibh sais Boylan a féchant ar fórna eile agus a rá, seo an rudí dhéanann siad san nuair atá, rudí a géirú ar an luas nó bhfuil brúaring agus mar sin de tugann siad freagra sa tóirt seo. Mar nuair a bhíon can in na mí nuair a bhíidir a gimar go maith agus bhúidir an craobh an 8 seach bhúidir an craobh an 8 bhíidir thart a feadh ceann chuig bliana ina dhéas san. God, bhíidir crua mar iire nach raibh, bhíidir physiciúil, bhíidir crua agus creditor a gcónaí an ta hain híl me.
Céad fan géad, actually, bhí sé coint le Stephen O'Brien le déanaí faoi an foran son agus dúirt sé gur bhfuil vinnic a thug sé faoi neara ag teachtaí an den méid dearnach. Ní raibh an bua go ar an bhí mar creid siad an tón go léir go méid seansa go. Fógáilna de cúlíní agus beidir go méid seans de cúl go déanach. Mar a cnocmara in néad ag nócha héan ag winna Blacklia ach dúirt é gur tré áthaid an foran son creid siad an tón go léir go méid seansa go.
Okay, so bheith lá eile ag an bhí a cirí a bhí trí go cluthe canis na haireann chun ag go thart ar híróin. Ach, ribh sin cluthe canis amán in na haireann a bhí ann, agus mar a chanicir mar Corcaig agus Gaillimh a bheith a casa ar a chéile sa cheansa. Tom, just give us an idea of the build-up to that final. I presume after the All-Ireland semi-final you'd return to the clubs, had you? Or what was it like heading into that final, can you remember?
Yeah, we had a lot of injuries. Dermot McCurtain, I think he broke his hand in a club semi-final, and John Hodgins got injured against Antrim. So, like, there was places up for grabs. The training kind of went fairly well. Just before the game, I remember at one stage, I think that maybe the people of Cork realised that we could do with a bit of a boost. And I remember that I never saw it before, but the last training session, there was 2,000 or 3,000 people watching the training, and they applauded the team off the field. And it was a great boost to the team going up to Croke Park. So that's my memory of it. Johnny Clifford played a fantastic part as well, of course. You know, we were underdogs, which was great for Cork. You know, it's just a two-team game going into Croke Park, going into an All-Ireland final. With the experience that the Cork team had, it was a great way to go in under a cloud. And with the injuries, it all kind of said a lot of people thought we were just going to go up for the day. But, you know, we were ready and we were quietly confident that we were going to perform.
And for yourself as captain, you'd a few All-Irelands won as a member of the team, if you like, without having the added pressure, I suppose, if there was pressure on you as captain. Was it a different All-Ireland for you as a result?
Well, you know, I suppose every guy's dream would be to captain your county to win an All-Ireland. But, you know, like, as I said previously, Johnny Crowley and Jimmy Barry were there. Like, John Fenton had been there. Like, you know, the team were kind of quietly going well. And like, for me personally, it was like, I was obviously honoured to be elected captain, and Blackrock, my club, to nominate me as well. So, you know, and have my brother Jim playing, of course, like, it was added for the family, and it was a great honour, really. So the pressure, really, I didn't feel it too much, to be honest with you, because when you go onto the field of play, everything just goes out of your mind. You just want to perform to your team. So yeah, captaincy was important for me now, looking back, but on the day and on the year, with the experienced players that we had around me, no, not really.
Yeah. And you mentioned there, it's interesting that you felt you were going well. So even though you felt that, I suppose, the world in general thought that this was going to be Galway's year, that seemed to be the consensus at the time, I suppose, after their defeat at Kilkenny, and having been in the final the previous year, did you feel going up to that All-Ireland then that you were going to win it?
Yes. Yeah, I think Johnny Clifford had instilled into us. And look, we're not cocky down in Cork, I wouldn't think. But like, we were quietly confident going up there. There was no pressure on the team. But, you know, we're kind of a team like that. We had got some fair scores during the year. I mean, we got six goals in the first match against Waterford. And like, you had got 2 goals against Clare in the Munster final, and 7 goals against Antrim. So, you know, we had guys who could get a goal out of nothing. The likes of Tomas Small got a great goal in the final now, and Kevin Hennessy, and Kevin would always pull a goal out of the hat for you. And like, Jimmy was vital around as well to be there, you know. So, like, we knew we had the players, and when you go into an All-Ireland final, there's no better place to perform. Once off, experience had been there. Winning, as I say, 5 Munster championships just before that. Most of the team had played in '84 as well. So yeah, like, as I said, there was no pressure on the team. So it was a great way to get to a final.
All right, okay. Agus mar luig Tom hí sorch le insan gluthe canishin, agus bhí golóir cuail a going chuma, so seo Corcaig agus Gaillimh ag gluthe canis amón in the Heron.
So can he give Cork an early lead? He goes for the goal! Cork go into the lead. Jimmy Barry Murphy trying to get it to Tomas Mulcahy, succeeding dangerously in. And a goal! Kevin Hennessy, the scorer! That spells danger every time Cooney's got the ball for Cork. And a lovely point. There's just 4 points between the teams. It was intended for PJ Malloy, but well read by Tom Cashman. Peter Finnerty's under it, so too Tomas Mulcahy. What a great catch. A good run by Tomas Mulcahy. He's angling for the score to give Cork a 1 point lead again. Or maybe a goal. It's a goal! Jim Cashman. Towards Kieran Kingston. Favouring Kevin Hennessy. Is there a goal on here? Yes! Oh, what a great goal! lining up on the goal line. Are there too many? We'll see. It's a goal! John Cummins with a great goal. Galway looking for a second goal. Maybe they'll get it. Great stop! It's there from PJ Malloy. Is it enough? There's only a minute left. Cork will want to keep possession or go for points. Jimmy Barry, can he finish with a flourish? Yes! He punches the air with delight. And there it is. Cork have won the All-Ireland. Champions for the 26th time. A Cork team that finished winners by 4 goals and 13 points to Galway's 2 goals and 15.
Tony, a desperate disappointment to lose. Where do you think it went wrong? You had played well all throughout, just couldn't get ahead.
The forwards hitting Clichy.
Yes, you were hitting great points yourselves. Must have been heartbreaking then to see it just not coming right.
Oh, definitely. I thought we might clinch it there and then, but there's nothing coming.
Were you feeling good at half time?
Oh yeah, feeling confident all right. You know?
And was it just a case in the second half then that A were inching their way forward all the time?
Definitely.
You've been in the wars.
That's right. It was only a small price to pay, Joe, for the All-Ireland final. It was a sweet victory. I'm delighted. We held from the first minute of the game to the last minute.
What a terrific success, John. You must be very pleased.
Marvellous, Jerry. You can see it here. I think it's fair to say, Jerry, I told everybody during the week we would win, and that wasn't overconfidence. I had complete faith in them. When you have 15 good hurlers and substitutes, you're going to win, Jerry. Marvellous. Thrilled with myself.
Yeah, Tom, it was a smashing game, wasn't it? 4-13 to 2-15, a 4-point game at the end, and loads of open, expansive type of hurling. Among the winners, of course, that day and playing his final match for Cork was Jimmy Barry Murphy, winning his 5th All-Ireland with impeccable timing. He bows out at the very highest level. I know you probably don't want to be picking players and saying who was better than who, but it is hard to look beyond him as probably one of the best, if not the best, you played alongside, was he?
Yeah, he'd be well up there, Micheál. Yeah, Jimmy, when you look back at the game, Galway kind of came back at the end and they got 2 late goals. And like for a team that's been ahead by 3 and 4 points for the duration of the match, like they brought it back to 3 points. There could have been 1 or 2, 3 minutes over, but Dennis Walsh won a great ball and passed it to Jimmy over the bar, 4 points up, game over. You know, Jimmy had the happy knack of being in the right place at the right time. Got some fantastic scores for Cork down through the years, and all the young guys at the team when they come on training with Jimmy and playing with him, you know, they grew straight away, you know. And I must say, like afterwards, Jimmy, when he got involved with the Cork senior team, like he's a great motivator. Learned from the years of experience that he's had working under other managers. But yeah, Jimmy was he was unique and one of the best out there.
Yeah, you were there with them. Just we'll touch on it briefly, but you were there with them as a selector in '99, weren't you? When Cork won that All Ireland. What was he like as a motivator then in the dressing room? Because he always came across as a very, you know, a real gentleman. I'm sure he was probably a bit different on the field of play. That I think you needed to have a bit of cunning about you to survive in these big games. But that said, what was he like dealing with players? And
what happens in the dressing room stays there. Yeah, that stays in the dressing room, in fairness. But yeah, like we got involved with the Cork Minors for a number of years, and the team kind of grew. And when we got involved in the senior team for the first year or two, we kind of worked with the more established players, but we were badly beaten by Limerick in the Munster for Sons of Munster Championship. So the minor players came on, the likes of Joe Dean and Sean Og and Donald Logan, the lads. So we were lucky. For a couple of years, we built the team up, and Jimmy was fantastic in the dressing room. You know, when some managers, when they talk, people aren't listening, but when Jimmy says a word, the boys are listening. He's been a fantastic stalwart to Cork down through the years, and fantastic.
Yeah, Michael, Totus Trisha Fekinter, Fornas, Kirkig, attacked Harnam Lienta, Neil Liscombe and Revtueg and Clehe Canish and Glacum Leshka Revtu Farer, and been on a Clehe Canish, agus on of Lian. And son, Dimmick Share fad the Kirkig. You know, Honig Dera le Ray Kirky in our era Ega Buintishin, Narian, Mar near Hana the Ramakas Kuigamuan, or Fag Trina Carabliana, if you want, in the Yesan.
Well, come back fair all, you know, we had the Tom, August Jimmy, August Dini Vion, Johnny Crowley, or Cartlar and Shakti, Tare Shoyrigas, August V. Tiberdarnik, Chak Gulad or Coma, August V. Anaquid, Dainter Co. Fuish, we had Nicky English, the Crave Fefe and Botige, the Drum Noor, mar hon Johnny Lahey agus na banners, so bhí tipperdarnig teach agus we, you know, Tarlene sé de gach in from Cosúla Curie, tá sé barn Aimshire feag na blianta agus tagan an lá, you know, bhfuil fer nu ón agus sin a hála de cochn.
Agus bhí an tubar tírim beidir a feag tamil ina dhéasan. Ok, cluthe bháin eile tá le play inis going sin cluthe canis na hhéireann I bell, Curie a thugaig an bhuireann nua, na buachalí nua ó chuige ala tíróid.
Only 2 minutes of the game gone. Skelton against Jack O'Shea. It's gone off the post, and John Lynch is there for safety. What a let-off. What a dramatic start to the All-Ireland football final. Damien O'Hagan, they're attacking in droves this time, and they've got a 2-point lead. Damien O'Hagan, expecting it. Again, it's aimed towards Eugene McKenna, runs up to Damien O'Hagan. There's a goal here for Portsquid. Yes! Portsquid. It's 1-7 to 4 points. He's put it over the bar. The goal was there for the taking. For Tyrone, struggling to hold on to it. Timmy Dowd again, up on his man. Ger Power, 1-8 to 5 points to score. Kerry behind. Pats Ballard. A goal! A goal by Pats Ballard. Certainly it's turning out to be an All-Ireland final to remember. Some brilliant scores, some great passages of play, and Pat Spillane giving Kerry the lead again. They lead by a point. There it is. Kerry have won their 30th title, doing so in convincing fashion in the end. Final score 215 to 110. Kerry, truly the worthy champions of champions.
Yeah, Mikey, Leo Griffin there with his hands on the cup at the end, coming into the train station below in Killarney, or Tralee. What was that like coming home and having, I suppose, putting the final stamp on your careers? You probably didn't know it maybe at the time, but it was an amazing turnaround, especially in that last quarter.
Yeah, I think funny enough, there was a great welcome home for us that night, or on the Monday night in Tralee and in Killarney. I think a lot of people probably had the same feeling as ourselves. It could be the last time, you know. And little were we to know, I suppose, at the time, it was going to be another 11 years before Kerry won All Ireland, you know. So certainly, you know, the occasion and the welcome home was massive. But there was something probably in the back of your head, you know. But there was a lot of mileage on the clock, even though it was only 32, 33 at the time. But you know, you were still kind of saying, you know, is there another blast in us, you know? Which there wasn't in '87. You know, we were well beaten by Cork in a replay in Killarney, and but still there were great times.
And for the last few minutes of that game against Tyrone, you've already mentioned Kevin McCabe's penalty that he decided to go for a point. Had he gone for a goal, it would have left you 9 points behind. I know Mick O'Dwyer has often said that game would have been gone for me at that stage. But what was it like reeling them in? Did you feel once you started to get them, Pat Spillane's goal, your goal, that was it? There was inevitable momentum coming back your way?
Yeah, it was funny. I mentioned it earlier on, you know, about experience, and the Tyrone lads were a very good team, and I'd say Art McCrory was a meticulous manager as well, and you know, his attention to detail would have been top class. And but I remember into the second half when they led by 7 or 8 points, and these guys are looking at each other, and no guy was shouting and said, "We have these guys, but we want them." But they were kind of looking, they were kind of half shell shocked, and they kind of collapsed. I felt when Spillane got his goal. And then we equalised with my goal, and you know there were. But another issue was that there was actually a very strong wind the same day. People, you know, you wouldn't realise it from the sideline or watching on TV. It was blowing down to the hill 16 into the Nelly end, and that had an impact on the game as well. And we had it in the second half. But on a lighter issue, we actually started the game quite well. I think we went 3 points to 0 up, and then we missed a penalty. And it was Jacko missed, it wasn't me, because I was getting enough stick after 82, after it costed us 5-0, which was very funny. About 10 years ago, I'm inside at home here on a Friday night, and my mobile phone went, and a fellow rang me from a bar, a pub quiz, and he said, "Did you miss the penalty in 86? I said, "No, I didn't." He said, "Everybody got it wrong. They all thought that I missed it," but I said, "No, it was Jack O'Shea who missed it," so that was a lighter note.
Absolutely. And Michael, I suppose rud mór a chuig in aig tíróin and san dara leishin ná gur chail siad Eugene McKenna agus John Lynch a bhí gortathe agus sin bertas na himróirí is fearr a bhí acu. Tá cinnte go bhféiceann siad siar okay, tá creabacha búirteacha ó hin gan áras, but sin ceann na déala gútha is tóla.
Seans coilte a bheith ach is cuinom bheith fearr ar an cluiche agus beidir go raibh mé brainwashed tar éis Ciarí éiscint na blianta agus punishment beatings ábhórta Cork ach ní raibh mé lánsáasta ag éanam go mbeadh an búr ag tíorán. Sort bhí is a go an tongléir go mbeadh seans ag Ciarí go mbeadh cool nó go agus sin mar a Harlún agus tá sé ráit ag Mikey is tócha níor creid siad féin go mbeadh an seans ag Ciarí go.
All right, well, chuig Ciarí sa cluiche sin ó bheith 7 gúlín chun deire chun é a bhuachant le 8 gúlín, so 15 point swing paislí a échantú sin. Tá mí beag nach take go dtín deire a bhuachalí. Tom, before we let you go, I want to ask you about the Rockies, about Blackrock, your club. You've mentioned them, that it was such an honour to be nominated as Cork captain by the club. You did win a Club All-Ireland as well yourself as a player. Blackrock had 3, but I think you were probably a bit young for the first couple of those. But what was that like by comparison to winning one with Cork?
We had a team of a lot of all-stars with like Ray and Frank Cummins and Hoggy and Paddy Moylan, Ian O'Donoghue. Like we had a team that every time you go out to play with Blackrock, there was pressure on to perform and do well. We were very successful in the 70s, and winning counties with Blackrock was fantastic. Middleton and the Bars and the Glen were always there in the background or beating us on occasions, but the rivalry was fantastic, and it's hard to be comrades and playing with your club players and then go back to the county with the other lads and join as one. But look, they're all memories and all great memories, and we'd love to see them back in Blackrock again. We're knocking at the door for a number of years there now. We've been winning the minor in 21. So the pressure's on the present bunch to move up the step and win a county, and every year we're hoping.
All right, well, to the Rockies then below in Tralee and Austin Stacks and Rock Street. Mikey, you won your own All-Ireland with the club as well. A massive time, and I suppose different to winning to what you did with Kerry.
Yeah, but you get the same thrill out of it. You're actually winning an All-Ireland or county medals with guys you grew up with. I suppose that you're probably closer than a lot of the guys that you're playing in the county team. But special times. I remember in 76, 77 when we won the All-Ireland club. My God, the crowds that we had supporting us. I think there was 2 train loads went to Croke Park, and then you come down and you come up Rock Street and with the cup and the Monday night we stayed in Dublin on the Sunday night. Fantastic memories, absolutely. And the club, a bit like Tom, we were very strong at the time. We were lucky to have a good squad of players. There was Ger Keefe, John O'Keefe, Ger Power, myself, Denny Long from Cork was with us as well. Very strong squad, and we had some exceptional other players as well, good club players that never left you down. So it was a great occasion for the club.
All right. Okay, well, so sin note that le críocha chuirla nar górá an so an bad créile dénig darú an scéil fecha na sé tróna dé down ag GAA Gold na book faintí go léir pell agus amáint golóir cluí le nachfa mar an so tróna neomh le feiscint instant glór áirithe sin. Ba míad na ráis an 987 an tatan se chuing de céadín se chuing ag a seach ar chanéil YouTube Sport TG Car ach godí sin uimse ó Tom Cashman, Mike Sheehy agus Michael Moynihan buchas libh se buchalí gur maigeh a spelling agus godín géadú eile slá.